Hi, welcome to my non-spoiler and spoiler review of The King's Man. Let's get into it. Hello, Gaha Brand, nice to meet you. So The King's Man is a prequel to the entire Kingsman franchise. It tells the origin of the Kingsman organization with the events of World War I acting as a backdrop. And the origin of the Kingsman is the first thing I want to touch upon, because going into this movie, I was really expecting the formation of the Kingsman to be front and center, but instead it's more focused on some of the events of World War I and how that created the Kingsman on the side. And on top of that, the core of the movie is actually focused on the relationship between Ralph Fiennes' character Oxford and his son Conrad, because Conrad wants to enter the war and he wants to serve his country, but Oxford is a very powerful man. He's a duke actually, and he's personal friends with the King of Britain, so he's able to stop Conrad from actually joining the war. And I don't want to spoil any more than that in terms of the plot, but just know that that's the central conflict of this movie for the majority of the film at least. And due to the nature of the story and the setting, this is a much more serious and grounded Kingsman movie. You don't have fancy gadgets and you don't have characters disobeying the laws of physics, but you still have jokes, and the stylization of all of it does inherently make the scenes lighter. Going back to the characters though, I do think that that's the standout part of this movie. Every character is very likable and charismatic. In addition to Oxford and Conrad, you also have Oxford's assistants, Shola and Polly, who are both very loyal and very skilled in their own right. And in this movie, it's also very fun to see who plays what role in the Kingsman organization. Like, who's going to be the first Merlin, who's going to be the first Galahad, who's going to be the first Arthur. And another standout character in this movie was Rasputin. He was very comedic, and his fight was very entertaining. But at the same time, he's also not the main villain of the movie, which the marketing leads you to believe, which is kind of a shame because the main villain of this movie sucks. Like, they're not a good villain at all. Rasputin is a lot more entertaining to watch, he's a lot more menacing, he's a lot more of a threat, and he's only in one solid scene. He's sprinkled out throughout the movie, but he really only has one scene to shine. And the last thing I want to touch upon in this section of the video is the consistent references to the other Kingsman movies within, the Kingsman universe. Because sometimes it bothered me, and sometimes it didn't. Like the mansion and the tailor shop, for example. Those are very integral to the Kingsman story, so yeah, put that into this Kingsman origin story movie. But on the other hand, you have the main villain saying, "Manners maketh man," and it felt so forced, and I just couldn't handle it. It's like a Solo situation, really. It's like, do you want to know how Han Solo got his gun? There it is in the Solo origin story. Do you want to know how Jack Sparrow got his hat? There it is in the flashback of Pirates of the Caribbean 5. It's unnecessary. Overall, The King's Man is kind of messy at times because it's pulled between its Kingsman origin story and its retelling of World War I. Although I will say this about the movie, I like that every Kingsman movie deals with a world-ending event, and this movie, because there's not as much fancy technology, it's literally just trying to stop World War I as soon as possible. World War I is the world-ending event in this movie. And it's a real thing, so, I thought that was cool. But yeah, if you like the Kingsman movies, check it out. But otherwise, I think you can skip this one. And now, that brings us to the spoiler section of the video. If you have not watched the movie, stop right here. You have been warned. So I suppose the biggest spoiler of this movie is Conrad's death, which I do like for a few different reasons. First of all, it's a big subversion of expectations. I know I was surprised. The audience that was with me, they all audibly gasped, and that was really fun. But I also really like it because throughout the movie, you're led to believe that Conrad is the main character of this film. You have no other reason not to believe it because he's a kid, he's a good kid, he's overcoming a struggle, and it doesn't help that the main character of the current Kingsman trilogy is someone who looks very similar to Conrad and has a very similar personality. And something else I really like about Conrad's death is it mirrors Galahad's death from the first Kingsman movie, where Galahad's death thrusted Eggsy to become a full-fledged Kingsman. Conrad's death thrusts Oxford on to creating the Kingsman. and I think that's just really cool. And I know it's really easy to hate on Conrad for not listening to his father, but the way I see it is that he just really wanted to serve his country. And you know who else wanted to do that? Captain America. I love Captain America. A lot of people love Captain America, so I don't really see a difference. But at the same time, it's also very weird that Oxford gave his son the most dangerous role in the Rasputin mission. I'm just saying. And what's really surprising about Conrad's death is that he just finished surviving so much, which brings me to my favorite scene in the movie, the no man's land scene. I just love that both sides understand that they cannot make noise, otherwise they're both going to be toast. And that's why I feel like the knife fight is just so intense. And when the first shots are fired, and those mortars or whatever they are, flares, whatever, are shot off, I just thought that was really just insane. It was crazy. Definitely my favorite scene in the movie. But yeah, that about wraps up my review for The King's Man. Would I rewatch this movie? Yes, I would. But you gotta tell me yourself. Leave a comment down below what you thought about The King's Man. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content and you want more content like this. And otherwise, yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.